Welcome to the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. Here, we believe leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you show up in every aspect of life. Whether you're leading a business, building a legacy as an entrepreneur, guiding your family, or striving to lead yourself first, this podcast is for you. Join us as we dive into real conversations about growth, decision-making, and the courage it takes to lead with purpose. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to become the limitless leader you are meant to be. This is Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Let's lead without limits. All right. Welcome to Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. And today I got to say, I have somebody who, and you may not know this, but somebody who's near and dear to my heart, just a guy that I truly think the world of. And again, we don't see the things and how we impact other people, but just watching you over the years and getting to have conversations with you and becoming a friend of yours over time, you are, you're pretty damn inspirational, man. I'm just going to say that, just who you are as a person.
Well, I hope I can live up to that. Thank you. That's flattering. It's all downhill from here. Thank you for that. It's been a pleasure, Brent. You were actually my first coach. I had been looking for a coach. This was, it's got to be 8 years ago. I think it was 2015, 2016. I was probably only a year or a year and a half in.
Amazing.
And I couldn't really find what I was looking for. And I saw you at a presentation, and I had seen you at a couple of presentations, actually. And I approached you afterwards, and obviously you're a personable guy and very informed. And we had an intro call. And then I think you're my coach for at least 2 years. And I think we kind of went through the whole program, and it was really, really helpful for me. And you're obviously good at what you do, and it's great to be here today.
Love it. It's just getting to know people. I mean, really is what it is. And on the flip side, my estate planning attorney is Mr. Phil at the same time. So it comes full circle too, which is just the work you do. And we'll talk about that as well. But one of the things I love about you most, and we'll get into this too, is that it's what I took from you, that it's not just business. Business is one thing, but family is what it's all about. And you can have your cake and eat it too. And you've always been phenomenal at that. So to give you a little introduction, I guess, Phil Ruce. Wife Mary, how long have you been married?
We got married in 2013. She is, I'm thinking back then though, she is and was just an incredibly supportive person. And if you can imagine, having a wedding coming up in October, and in August, your spouse-to-be says, hey, we don't have kids yet, and I've always wanted to be my own boss. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I'm not sure what kind of money I'm going to make, but I'd really like to try being a solo attorney after we get married and there's health insurance. I'd like to quit my job. And I had all these rebuttals ready, all her concerns. I was like ready to counter all these. And then I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was a little taken aback by how quickly she was like, yeah, you should do it. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, I will then. So we got married, and then I quit my job at the end of December, and Stone Arch started 2 months after that. So big part of why this even happened is her. But yeah, it's been since 2013, almost 12 years.
That's pretty cool, man. That is a true testament to finding your person, your best friend.
She's a rock. She's
support you. So you have 3 kids,
mm-hmm.
And does she stay home with them? I'm guessing.
She is a hard worker and loves having work outside the home. This is an interesting update. I don't think I've told you this. So she works in HR. She's an HR rep.
Oh, okay.
And it just, with everything going on, it was just too much. I think there was some leadership vacuum happening there as well. And she joined us about a year and a half ago. So she works in this building.
I didn't know that.
And she does the office management, but she is incredible at hiring. The last 3 people we've brought on have been through her research and her work. and they're amazing. I mean, she's really like legitimately great at her job. She also takes some of the stuff off my hands, like just office management stuff. That we got. She has some ideas about how to save money here and there, and the math works if we do it. And she's been a great contributor. But anyway, outside of that, yeah, she's here. A lot of flexibility with that. The company scaled a little bit, so we both have some flexibility. So if someone needs to go home with the kids or something early, or if there's a sick day or something, it's not even a thing. It's just very easy to switch in and out of that.
How cool is that to get to work with your spouse too at the same time?
Yeah. And it's funny, we almost don't even see each other though. Like I got this little office here and I'm in the mornings, and then a lot of times I leave to work out or whatever in the afternoon, and that's when she comes in because she works out in the morning. So it's kind of ships past. But that's actually okay. Like I think I don't know if being around your spouse 16 hours a day is a good thing. So but it's worked out well.
We're different people. That's how it works. Yep. Yeah, that's Jenny and I. So we work out of the house. I'm downstairs, she's upstairs. So we see each other, but we're not by each other all day long too at the same time. So
yeah,
but it works. It's fun because you can have those conversations and what happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So since you touched on that, and you touched a little bit on your background, but I want to know, just kind of give me the evolution of Phil, if you will. What helped you make that decision to quit the job and go into that? What were you doing? How did you, like your background, law school, all this stuff, and just kind of bring us up to speed to where you're at today, if you will.
My first exposure, so I'm an estate planning attorney. I create wills and trusts for families. My team does at this point. I'm more of in a leadership role at this point. But our group of, there's 12 of us now, we work specifically in that legal space. So we're a law firm that does wills, trust planning, wealth planning, and tax planning. And my first kind of exposure to finance, I guess, was shortly after college. It was the dot-com bust. I was working actually as a correctional officer. I was a prison guard. That was my first job out of college. I was a sociology and psychology major. And I didn't love that, and I made a switch into a company that administered 401ks. And from there, I worked at what was then TCF Bank. TCF had an insurance and investment group, and I was in what at the time we called a financial advisor there. It's more financial sales. I knew I wanted to kind of work in that space somehow, the planning space. But I don't think TCF was the right place for it. It wasn't really what they were known for. And that investment and insurance group started to shrink. And I saw the writing on the wall. I had a friend of mine who just out of the blue mentioned he was going to law school. And I just never thought of that for myself. I never thought of that was really an option to be a lawyer. I don't know. I just thought smart people were lawyers or something, which still my imposter syndrome here.
Love it.
And I kind of secretly applied. I took the LSAT and applied to the Minnesota schools. And to my surprise, got in with scholarships to a couple of them. And that was a good surprise to be able to break to my family and tell them that I'm I'm quitting my job. I have a habit of that, just quitting my job and going doing something else. I went to William Mitchell, and that's a 3-year, law school's a 3-year program. And I got out of there right into the real estate bust. So now I'm getting right back into the world of working, and it's 2008, 2009. I landed as a trust officer at Wells Fargo Bank, a trust department. And I worked in trust departments for 6 years. I didn't love it. I love the area. I think, Brent, that I may not be a good employee. I think that maybe I'll do the work. You give me the work, I'm going to get it done. But not having the control, sometimes in those jobs, you're siloed. It's not your job to be creative. If you see something that isn't working well, it doesn't matter if there's a better way. That's not how we do it. Like there's policies and procedures, and they go up like 4 levels of the corporate ladder. Like you're just not going to really make a difference at the company until you're senior management. That was just really frustrating for me. And then that takes us to when we got married, and I wanted to be able to not have a boss specifically for a while. I also wanted to just kind of be able to figure out my own way. And this was solo practice was probably the best outlet for that I could figure out. Supportive spouse, got back from our honeymoon in Mexico, and that was day one. It was February 3rd of 2014. And I just started networking. I just started working in the trust departments. I had somewhat of a sales capacity, and a lot of that was networking with estate planning lawyers and creating those relationships. And I saw how that worked, and I decided to start doing that for my own purposes, my own firm, and trying to meet with people who work in the same space as I do, which is actually financial advisors, a lot of them, CPAs, financial professionals. And I was just a constant coffee date. That's what I did. There was a period there where I was probably doing 2 coffees in the morning. I didn't have a lot of money. I had $10,000 of a budget for the year, so I didn't really have the ability to take everyone to lunch. So everybody wants to do lunch. And I'm like, I'm going to be paying for this, and it's going to cost $50, and I have $10,000. So I was really trying to aim at those like $5 coffees. I'd get black coffee. Usually they get black coffee. I was like, awesome, I can cover that. And then maybe I'd do a happy hour at the end of the day too. So I was doing 2 to 4 networking things. I did join a networking group. BNI, Business Networking International, is a well-known networking group. It has its detractors. It has its supporters. I got to say that if you use it right, if you use it to meet professionals and not just look for clients or customers, if you use it to meet other people, networking, i.e., It was very effective for me. In fact, I think the reason I showed up to your seminar might have been because someone I met through BNI. In fact, I know for a fact it was 2 people I met through that organization were putting on that seminar, and you were a guest speaker. But just meet people, right? I mean, it's just being a constant like resource and try to learn about people, talk about them. You're not really talking about yourself. I just want to learn about their practice and what they're doing, and if there's a chance to talk a little bit about what I do in there, that's great. But creating those relationships instead of these kind of transactional things was a big deal. What I found is I started to get busy. Here I broke even, which is to say I spent $10,000 and I think I billed about $10,000. And I was hoping not to lose money, so I would call that first year a success. Next year, I think I billed something like $60,000 with $30,000 in expenses. And at that point I had a job. I mean, my life wasn't expensive yet. We had this little tiny house in Northeast Minneapolis, 900 square feet. The payment was like $1,000. Like I said, no kids. So I think my life cost about $30,000 at that point. So that was sort of a breakthrough that second year where it's like, I think I might have a job. I think I might have the ability to do this. And then third year, things started to scale a little bit. That's where you and I started, I think. And I was getting busy. And I think one of my first struggles was hiring somebody, because you think of even an unskilled, even someone who's just, untrained, but is going to answer the phones and lick stamps, I don't know what the minimum wage was then. It was less than 15, which is what it is now in Minneapolis, I think. I could have those numbers wrong. But I think the first person was $15 or $16 an hour. But if you look at that as a chunk of a change, that's $32,000. And in the previous year, I had billed 60. And like, what are the other solutions? Is there contractors? Is there something else? But I was getting too busy. And actually that next year, I think that might have been my first. Well, I think maybe I made about $80,000, I bet, that year. And I think I billed maybe 150, 160. You and I met, we began talking. I was running through my day, and I still share this with people. This is something that you said to me. You said, there's 3 things you should be doing during your day. Number 1, billing clients. Number 2, looking for clients to bill. And number 3, working on a project that saves you a substantial amount of time such that you can do more of 1 and 2. And as I was licking stamps and watering my plant and taking out my own garbage and putting together client packets just full of copies, basically making copies and scanning and all this, meanwhile doing client work and continuing to network, that put it into perspective. Like, is this $300 an hour work, which is what I would bill at, right? Is this it, or is this, like, maybe I should just be doing the lawyer stuff? So that first hire was a big hump to get over. And a big part of that, getting over that, was you. And it was still not easy, by the way, but took a leap of faith, and turns out that worked out well. I was going to say something else. Another thing that you really helped me with is when you start to get busy, you stop networking, and then you get slow, and then you start networking, and then you get busy and you stop, and there's this inconsistent roller coaster that happens with revenue. And we work together on a way to really try to keep networking even when you're busy, even if it's phone calls or Zoom wasn't really a thing yet, but even if it's just virtual meetings of some sort.
Yep.
And we actually, I started this when I was with you, and I actually kept doing it right up until moving into the position I have now. I have a grid on a wall, and it's five boxes of five. And I would look at the month and I'd say, okay, the month starts on Wednesday. So I'd black out the first, 2 days there, and it ends on a Monday. So I'd black out the last 4 days on that bottom row. So I basically had a calendar, and every day I had to make 2 or 3, I don't remember what the goal was. I think it was 3 networking calls or meetings. So if I have 2 coffees, great, but that's not enough. I got to call someone. And the idea was to never have a missing X in my little check mark. So every single day, that's a modest goal. That's not a big goal. There's financial advisors out there who they do 100 dials a day, like 3, that's pretty modest. But you get to the point where it's like, I just don't want to do that today, or I'm just too busy today. I'll make it up tomorrow or whatever. And just not letting myself do that was a big part of it. That was a Brent Widman strategy. Anyway, going from then till now, things have just grown. I think we offer really good service. I think our lawyers do really good work. There's 5 lawyers here now, me plus 4. There's very satisfied people that come out of here. I think people here are very much pro compassion and very service first, education first, and it's not an intimidating process. And I think that resonates well. And now, like I said, we got a team of 12, probably going to add a couple more next year, I hope. And it has grown as well. And also, my job has changed, because as we scale, and I know you're a business owner, as we scale, you start to get a little more choice in what you're doing. There's, you want to talk about using your time most efficiently. Well, my time has probably comparatively become more valuable, because the decisions I'm making on are bigger ones, our whole marketing strategy, our whole budget, all the stuff that we're doing. And as I've stopped representing clients, my schedule has opened up. I still have a lot of stuff to do, but I don't have to do it now. It's due at the end of the month or something. So we've been able to take, we have a 1 week break where we're going to go to Wisconsin Dells. This is next week, 2 weeks from now. We just got back from a week visiting my family in California. We're at Oceanside. Mary and I headed to Italy earlier this year for a week. Meanwhile, we got the little family things. My wife's family's from La Crosse, Wisconsin, so I was headed there for a few days, headed to see my family Christmas. And these days off, I remember my first job, that TCF job, I had 2 weeks paid vacation a year. And now the team has allowed me to have a lot more flexibility and to have other gigs that I work on too. I'm a law professor, a part-time professor at St. Thomas. That takes a lot of time, but I can really do that during work hours. There's a book that I work on for LexisNexis about estate planning, and I have to update it every year, and I can do that during work hours. I don't have to do that at nights like I used to. It's been great, and it kicked off in 2014 with the help of many. I'm not under the illusion that I did this all myself. I've had a lot of support, you among them.
I sit here and listen to you, Bud, and it's your, how do I say this? Your style of leadership, because you talked about service first, what have you. Okay. And that is a direct reflection from you, is really what it comes down to. It's just who you are and what you do as a person. You look at what you have grown. I'm trying to wrap my mind around this, because you said 08, 09, and then you're in trust for 6 years. So when did you start this? 2014?
Yes. So this was kind of the beginning in 2014, right?
So in 11 years, you have a team of 12 and 4 lawyers?
No, team of 12 total.
Okay.
Me plus 4 lawyers plus 7 staff. One of those 7 staff members is part-time. That's Mary. But the revenue now, I don't think we'll hit 3 million this year in revenue, but yeah, it's been a steady thing. And those first couple of years, it's funny. The first couple of years, you go from $100,000 in revenue to $200,000 in
Yep.
revenue. It's like 100% increase. And you're like, wow. And then as things start to get a little bigger, the numbers get a little intimidating sometimes with the budget and everything else. But also, you think, we're only going to grow 15% this year. Like that doesn't feel like a lot. But if you look at the actual dollar amount behind that, that's a pretty big change that probably requires hiring, actually. But being able to scale with this, I can't give enough credit to the team. I would love to say that, I'm such a business person that I made this happen. There's some really, really incredible people in this building who are doing really incredible things, and all credit to them. But being a part of it has been amazing.
Well, okay, there's two things that you've talked about that were really hard, that you just looked at, like the networking thing. And I know you said, well, you saw trust, well, that worked there. I'm just going to do it here. But how hard was that for you just to know as a lawyer? Because what it was, and perception, right, being reality, our perception on the outside looking in at lawyers or a lawyer themselves is, well, business will just come in because I'm a lawyer now. And you took a whole different action around it. How did you create that? Why and how? I guess. Where did that come from?
An interesting thing before I get into that is so I was in the sales job, this financial sales job that I didn't particularly love. Sales, it turns out, is fun if you're doing it a certain way, but when you're doing it the way you're kind of told to do it in this little silo, it wasn't particularly enjoyable. And so when I went to law school, I was so happy that I was finally done with sales. I was like, finally, never going to do sales again. That was wrong. That was so wrong. In my mind, you're sitting at a desk, and I don't know, there's partners or ads or something. I don't know where the clients come from. It just wasn't really, the clients show up. You're a lawyer. You're busy. You make lots of money. This is what lawyers do. And then you get out, and I was working, of course, at the banks, which was kind of light sales. But I saw that the people who really do well are either people who they have some sort of skill that's so unique that it's just worth a ton of money. And I'm thinking of like specific software engineers or something like that. Really experienced surgeons, or they're senior management at a company, or the other two are business owners / sales. People who are very, very good at bringing in business, are very highly compensated, almost to the point of senior executives in some places. And then you've got these business owners who started something, did sales, of course, and grew it. And I was like, well, that's really the four ways that you kind of make good money, if that's what you're chasing after anyway. So when I was at the trust companies and working with a number of estate planning lawyers, a lot more solos, just kind of, maintaining those relationships and kind of understanding what they did. The last place I worked was so networking centric that, and the results were so concrete. It wasn't a hard sale. It wasn't calling someone and persuading them to do something. It wasn't used cars. It was that stereotype. It was relationship building, showing that you have credibility. The old Bob Berg saying about people do business with those they know, like, and trust, assuming everything is equal. So do they know you? Do they like you? Are you like, was this coffee like incredibly awkward, or was this like a friendly, easy conversation? Trust is probably that qualification, but trust isn't enough. You can't just nail someone with your degrees and your experience. There's more to it than that. You have to like you and trust you. Know you, like you, trust you. I thought that was a great saying. There was somebody at that trust company who had that written on top of their whiteboard. So I took that lesson really into becoming a solo, is I knew that if you make the best hamburger in the world but nobody knows about it, you're not going to have a successful hamburger place. You have to get out there and, you look at successful restaurateurs. They're not just sitting there waiting for people to come in. There's partnerships, and there's catering, and there's people out there trying to meet, create events and all this crazy stuff that you got to do to have a successful business in that space. And I don't know that other businesses are that different, right? I think you've got to, you can be a super good estate planning attorney or anything else, but if people don't know you, you're just going to sit there. And in fact, I've talked to many young solos who are just incredible. They're just struggling. They've got a little office space, and there's just they're kind of waiting for business to come in. Like they've got a web page and everything, and it doesn't work. You have to go out there and find it somehow. So that's why I felt networking was the best place. There's another saying that I like, which is when it comes to sales, there is farming and there's hunting. And hunting, do both. But I mean, there's hunting is, for example, maybe a seminar. And we're just starting to get into the seminar space on our end. We haven't done a whole lot of hunting. But what you're doing is you're going out there, you're giving a seminar, trying to target some people, bring them in, and then you have a refrigerator full of food and resources, and sustenance. So you got that refrigerator full of meat, but then eventually it runs out, and you got to go hunting again, and you got to do that forever. Like you got to keep going out and doing this if you want to expand. Hunting is also fast. Like you give your conversation or whatever it is, and then you've got people coming in. Farming is much slower. And that's how I look at networking. It's not just about me, by the way. It's also what can I do for them, and what this relationship looks like. But if you want to be a networker, it takes a long time. It doesn't happen quickly. I think what I figured out at one point was if I had 10 financial professionals or whatever variety, including lawyers, 10 coffees, I'd probably get a client referred to me at some point. If I did 20, I'd get 3 clients. There'd be like a bonus in there, like for 20. And then this has happened twice where I've like somewhere in the range of between 0 and 100 of these conversations, someone looks at their book of business and says, wow, all these people need estate planning. We're just going to use you. And what happens with farming is it takes a long time. It's got to grow. But when it finally starts working, there's this abundance. Like there's just, you can't just sit there and accept clients, but you kind of can at times, things just start happening because of these relationships. I don't want to give the impression that these are transactional and I only do these relationships for profit purposes, but it is driven by business. And I would guess that that's both ways. I've met some incredible people. There's some advisors that I'm legit friends with now that we just, kind of met through this whole thing. And it's great. People from the networking groups that I've been in, I still see them. There's still opportunities that show up, not necessarily for clients, but like a training I didn't even know was going to be there. And then someone from my past 10 years is like, I thought of you. Do you want to do this? And I've become a better business person because of it. You have so many people with ideas. And some of my marketing has revolved around things that I've heard from other people. It didn't come from a book. It came from these relationships. So it's just such a abundant and full way to run a business and to probably live your life, honestly. I mean, it's pretty incredible what people can do if you try.
I am just sitting here floored by take this for what you will, but the masterclass you just gave in building a business.
Oh, yeah.
The networking, that's just because we want it now. We want it fast. We want it. But so many times it just doesn't work so fast. It just comes over time. And when people understand that aspect of it, Phil, what you just said is when I got into business, I knew that I had to do something. And I knew I wasn't going to get rich quick. But I knew that sitting in my office wasn't going to happen. And the more people I got out and talked to and got in front of and had conversations with, I knew the numbers as well, that not every one of them, 10-1, 23, right? That kind of thing. But it was going to start building it. And then on the flip side, we can read all the books and do all, and that's fantastic. I'm not saying don't do that because I encourage you to develop. But when you meet people like Phil and you meet people like these successful advisors and people that have been successful and we get to have conversations with them, like that's invaluable. And then look at what you've grown over the years too because of that.
Is that old saying about if you're you've heard it, obviously it's people say it pretty regularly. I love it. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. Like you could probably be around people who are better than you. That goes for hiring too. There's people in this company who are better estate planning lawyers than me, quite honestly. Part of it is I'm out of it. I haven't been doing it for a couple of
Yep.
years in the same way. I think academically, I've got maybe an edge from all the teaching and stuff, but they've seen more than me at this point, and because of that, uh, obviously if that's someone I want on my team, right? I want someone who's who's seen everything.
Better than you. Yep. And I even go back to that. You hired before you were ready to hire. You hired because you knew that if you kept licking stamps, like you call it, you're going to get stuck in licking stamps for the rest of your life. And that's not how to. You got to take a chance too at the same time.
You do. It was again. That was a scary thing. Was that first hire, but gosh, and the first time you got to fire somebody, that's also. In fact, I think the first time I fired someone was I had to talk it through with you because it was such an uncomfortable thing, and my blood pressure was just so high when I had to have this conversation. But you gave me some tips on that. But that's part of it. Unfortunately, is you want to build a team of these strong people, but also if there's someone who's not going to fit and not going to help that along, it's almost mean to keep them on because they could be out there doing something that's going to make them better and brighter. Meanwhile, if their performance is below what is expected, you're sort of blessing that for other people. You're saying that like, well, this person's not super good at this, but that's okay. It's not okay. We got to figure out how to solve that. And but both sides of that, building the team, but also making sure that the right people are in the right seats. Good to great. That's something I think coaching can really help people with. All these ideas. You talked about building your knowledge base by your relationships, but I think coaching comes into that. I've ever since I've been in coaching in one form or another. I was in a law firm specific coaching program for almost 3 years until I kind of completed that, and there wasn't much else to do. We've moved into we have an EOS implementer, operating system implementer, which that's more of a consultant, but I consider that coaching. Yep. There's a seminar that we're creating, and I hired a consultant for it. I could probably put something together for myself, but these people know more than me. And why would I try to do something that I don't understand when it could be so much better by investing a little bit of time and money? So you've taught me a lot of that. It's in that all the coaching, all of coaching,
all the stuff.
Coach shows you that. Don't be the smartest person in the room.
It's like you take the leap to do it, and then you realize we need people in our corner, especially people like you just said from the outside that look in at the same time that are really helping us out because you asked about our business. We do the same thing. We have people from the outside looking at us and going, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Okay. It would have taken me months to figure that out. Why would I just pay for it?
And that meeting, you learn 3 things that you can actually start doing right now. Or you could keep reading your business books, but you're going to have to read 5 or 6 of them to come up with those same epiphanies.
To come up with those simple things. Mm-hmm. And that's, you invest in yourself, you invest in employees, I watched the evolution of Phil is kind of what I call it, and how that's happened over time. And I go back to what you said about clients. You build really good relationships. And I look at that like that's not sales. Like, let's think about what you do, and this will help other salespeople or other lawyers, that you just went out and built relationships with people. From there, you got introduced to other people. So you're not selling that person anything, and now you're not selling this person anything. You're just talking about what you do, and they're either interested or they're not. But you're not doing this constantly asking people to buy stuff from you. You made your life a lot easier by doing the hard stuff first that led to the really easy stuff later on, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, at one point when I used to track this stuff, this was when I was in BNI and you wanted to figure out, how productive was this membership in this group. At one point, I figured out it was something like this person in the group introduced me to this person who's in an unrelated career who just happens to be a great networker, who introduced me to this person. This person invited me to their networking group. I got about 8 circles out and got a client, and I could trace it back to, I could trace it back like 8 people. Like that's how I found this person is just meeting people and then meeting those people and then meeting those people. And by the way, it's kind of fun. It's not, like you said, it's not
It
sales.
is.
It's effort, but it doesn't necessarily work. Uh, it's, uh, it's great. And it's just, I was joking with someone recently. If I had a funeral now, number of
Mm.
people that I would attend today versus what I attended 10 years ago, it's a drastic difference. You're so much more integrated in your community, and you just know so
Oh,
many more people. No, but it's great. It's great.
I love the way you just put the Kevin Bacon aspect on it too at the same time that you just the 7 degrees of separation.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember when I first had my quote from you on what this would cost, what coaching would cost. Clearly, everyone's rates go up over a 10-year period. So you got to look back at 10 years ago when you and I first started, whatever it was, 8, 9 years ago. And at the time, I could get 2 sessions per month, and I think it was $600.
Yep.
But as a solo who had just billed $100,000, that was $6,000 a year, and that was like, or no, it's more than that, 7,200 a year, and that's like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Because you look at it as a chunk, you look at it as like that whole dollar amount, which isn't how it works. Obviously, you're going to pay your money. You're not 600 now, of course. I sure hope you're not. But even what my point is, coaching seemed so expensive. It seemed so unattainable. And that was another leap is trying to find that value and try to understand that value. And then once you jump into it, I've been in coaching programs that have been as much as 3,500 a month at this point.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I kept paying them because I kept improving. And you do the math on 3,500 a month. That's college tuition every year, right? That's a lot of
Yes.
money. And there's value there. And like you said, I could probably learn these things over a period of years, or I could just get it going now and start moving. So that was another thing I learned was, yeah, it's going to be possibly expensive, but expensive compared to what? Expensive compared
Compared
to
to what?
growing?
Exactly.
Expensive as opposed to missing out on 200,000 a year in revenue? Like what's expensive compared to what? To not doing something. I think that's actually a much worse decision.
The math works itself out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you look at it, even the 3,500, you look at it like that, and that's what, $42,000 a year, but you're making
Yep.
200, 300 more grand a year. The maths out on things like
Continued to transform the company. I would say your coaching probably transformed me as a person. And I would say once I did that, I think that I was ready to transform the company. And that's when like some of the law firm specific stuff really came into play.
wow.
Uh, but it's all been transformative. And I'll keep doing it because there's value there, clearly. And by the way, working on a business is fun and learning about a business is fun.
That was gonna be my next question, whether it's leadership or your business. What do you love about it? Like, why? Could you go back to, I wasn't a very good employee, or I knew I wasn't a good employee.
One thing I've learned about myself, probably the past 2, 3 years in particular, is it turns out I'm probably a COO. Like I'd probably make a very good chief
Yeah.
operations officer. The CEO thing is good. I like looking outside the company and seeing what we can do. But when it comes to like what gives me energy, so boring, so nerdy. Spreadsheets, data, charts, efficiencies, what's working, how can we do more of that? How can we delegate that to people to do more of that? Trying to understand what everyone's strong point is. If this person really likes tax planning, we can kind of make them the point person on tax planning because they're going to enjoy it more and be better at it and everything. Working on the business and on these numbers, I've really fallen in love with the numbers behind how everything works. So I really, really like that. And being able to do more of that because of the scaling makes it so that my job just feels less stressful. I used to get the Sunday scaries a lot, where it's Sunday and like Monday's really busy and you might have an unpleasant person you got to talk to. And it's just Sunday night, you start to get this anxiety like, I don't really get that anymore because my days are more full and more flowy. It's the stuff I like to do. Yeah, and we're at the point where some of the leadership is being taken over by some other people within the firm, and they're very good at it and they like it. It's interesting. Not everyone's like you. I've learned. Like I project myself onto everyone else as like, well, they're not going to like doing that because I don't like doing that. Turns out there's things you don't like to do.
Yeah.
Not only does someone maybe not mind doing in exchange for a paycheck, but like they absolutely like it. And being able to embrace that has been really helpful. It's actually changed me a little bit about how I think about retirement, Brent. If I used to think about work as something to finally get out of, you're like, oh, when you're 65 or whatever, you get out of this and you're finally done. But if you have a career or you have a business where you slowly are doing the things that you like, and the things that don't bring you energy slowly get offloaded to people where maybe it does bring them energy, you're left with these pile of tasks that are important, and maybe they're complicated, maybe they are hard, but maybe not for you because it's the thing that you really like doing. And it makes me think like, I mean, if the money's coming in and the business is working and I like what I'm doing, like I don't want to be someone who's working at age 80 because he has to. But if it brings me purpose and it brings me meaning and it's helpful, do I stop? Like, I don't know. Like, I like it. Like maybe you kind of keep going a little longer. It's changed my views on a lot of things.
It's fun, isn't it? It's you get to create something and do something that you truly enjoy. Why wouldn't you keep doing it at the same time? I go back to, I got to touch on this too when you talk about the COO. The amount that you've invested in yourself and surrounded yourself with people and all these different things, whether it's networking, code, whatever, that kind of thing, you not only took the things that you were already phenomenal at, but you also added in like the sales aspect and the things that maybe didn't come as natural, and you figured out how to do it. And then the leadership side as well, that you realize, you just said that too, that not everybody's like us. And if we lead everybody like we want to be led, well, we're doing them a disservice too at the same time. So it's,
and even
wow, man.
There was some worry that if I brought somebody on like a lawyer and I trained them really well and I trained them in sales or had them work, by the way, anyone who's listening, we still use Brent's company for our attorneys. We give them optional coaching that we pay for. And Brent's our guy, but I don't mind paying for that because it helps them and it does help me as they bring in clients. But there's that paranoia about, well, if they get too good, they're just going to go start a business. And I don't know that they will. I don't think everyone, it turns out not everyone wants that. And again, projecting that, I'm like, well, they're just going to go off. And I don't know that.
Because you did.
I did, right. But not everybody, it's a good place to work here. It's a really solid team. It's very supportive. We're very family, you said, family focused. We're very much about not working evenings and weekends. We're very much about spending time away from work, and it's a good place to be. And we don't have a ton of turnover, and expending resources for your team is kind of like expending resources for yourself. I think it just becomes a stronger organization and makes more sense.
Sometimes I hope that, I really do. I hope you look in the mirror and realize why you don't have turnover and why it's such a good place to work and why people gravitate towards you. It's because you are who you are. And we can talk about leadership and management and all these things, but what you're saying right there is, and I know you might not say this yourself, but just be a good person and really good things happen because you're just a really good person.
I think that's a very accurate thing to say. I think when you have two paths and one is a little more ethical or one is kind of the high road, and even though it's not always the most expedient one, but you just choose that road, and if you just make a habit of that, I think that's launched into the world, and I think that comes back in a lot of ways. And again, I don't want to take too much credit. I know that my some of my decisions and some of the things I've done has absolutely made this
absolutely
the way it has.
Yeah.
I cannot emphasize enough how important the people are that are here. They just are so good at what they do and so kind and hardworking and reliable. I don't have to think about whether someone's doing their job right now. I've had those employees, I mean, you have too, where you're like, I wonder, they're probably not even like, there's a list of tasks, and you just know they're not doing it, or not doing it well enough.
Yeah.
And
You and you wonder why they're not getting done, and you hang on to them too. Like you said, you hang on to them too long. Go back to that comment.
yeah,
When we hang on to people too long, we do a disservice not only to us as the employer, the what have you, but also them. Because just because they're not a good fit here doesn't mean they're not
right.
phenomenal somewhere else, and that's okay. And they may have
And
to
a
go
service to
through
the
it. Yeah,
team too, right? And your
absolutely, man.
clients. I mean,
Yep.
nobody wins by having the wrong person in the wrong seat. And to your point, that person, you feel bad because they need this paycheck. I mean, you're going to screw up their life, and it's like, oh my gosh, but they're going to get launched somewhere else, and
Spot on.
it's going to be better.
Yep, that's exactly it. What's the future look like for you?
Man, how see, we part of EOS
Okay.
is a 10-year plan, so
Yeah.
we continue to navigate. One thing that can be frustrating is we are a business model that's a little bit transactional. You tend to get your estate plan done. It's a one-time cost. And then you're not going to write us another check for quite some time. Eventually you'll need to have it rewritten. Eventually there'll be an amendment or something. So trying to understand customer loyalty. We've been pretty good about staying in front of people, continuing to contact them a couple times a year, either by mail or a newsletter or whatever it may be. But trying to figure out how to continue to be valuable to the clients after it's done. I think lawyers in particular tend to finish up a project and that's it. We have a lot of folks who come in and they say they've got their estate plan done, but they don't remember the guy's name or the gal's name, or they don't remember what they did really. And we're trying to make sure we're not doing that, and make sure we're staying. So hoping to continue to understand that. We have had annual growth in my world of worlds. We opened up a Woodbury office a couple of years ago, so we're working on growing that, and we'd like to get something way out west, maybe not way out west, but like Wayzata, some areas. So we're looking at maybe can we find a way to represent folks in that direction. If we keep hiring correctly and we keep discussing our values as a team and to prospective hires, as long as we've got that people element wrapped up, I'm very confident that we'll be able to grow comfortably. You're always looking for a business owner. You're always looking for, if you're not growing, you're shrinking somehow. There's going to be attrition.
Yeah.
Like you have to grow at least a little. And you start worrying about like, how big is the market really? What are new ways where we can find people to help? So continuing to explore that. I think there's a bright future. I think that people here are going to have more opportunity. I think our representation is only going to get better as we bring in new ideas. It's an exciting time. It's a very exciting time. We're going to become a mid-size business right now, and it's wonderful.
I love that you just said hire correctly. And then right after that, you said, and keep speaking into the values as a team. They kind of go hand in hand, because when you hire and you speak into values and you live by those values, it's pretty easy to hire correctly because you know what you're looking for.
And before we got solid on our values, like what is it really like? We knew what our values were, but it wasn't really written down, and it wasn't really like we could have a discussion and know what our team's about. But when we really started writing them down, and during the hiring process, I talk about our values. I have basically a speech that I give, and that's part of EOS too, by the way. Kind of a speech about we are courageously compassionate. We are systems people. We are educators, and there's about 5 of them. And I look back at some of the hires that have been frustrating, and you can put a little check mark next to a couple of the values, but there's probably a minus next to at least 1 or 2. They just didn't have the follow-up. They just didn't have the enthusiasm. And if I'd done this earlier and I had really stuck to it, I think we could have avoided a lot of that. Every business is going to have that if any of your listeners are listening and see themselves in that.
For sure.
It's normal to have those mistakes that can be a little costly, but if you follow up on them properly. But that values-based hiring is really important.
That's a big deal, man, that I think is overlooked at times, that what you just said, when you live into that and you check mark the 5 that you want to live by, it's going to save you a lot of time and energy. And so many times we hire because they look good on paper or they interview good or what have you. But when they check the boxes, they check the boxes. And that's where
Yeah.
you know they're going to be around for a long time too at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
so how do people find Mr. Phil if they want to find Stone Arch?
We are at so our webpage is Stone Arch, like the bridge in Minnesota, stonearchlaw.com. Our main office is in Southwest Minneapolis. We're right on the corner of Richfield and Edina, sort of where the 3 cities intersect there. 612-444-5555. Certainly contact me if you have questions about, like, if you just want to chat about business. I always like doing that. For clients, you'll probably speak with Meg or Laura about getting started, kind of what our process looks like, some cost options. Go away. Any questions at all, always happy to chat.
I got to ask, I think it was when we were working together, you got that phone number. Maybe it was before. Didn't you pay for that phone number? What was that thing?
I was looking for one that was easily memorable. And I think it was $1,500. And then I had to go through this whole process of trying to onboard it and transfer it to our carrier, which took a long time. I don't know. I don't think it's gotten us any clients, but it is nice to be able to just pop that off and just say, 444-5555, a little bit of a vanity number there. They didn't have any of the cool ones like your will or something, I'm looking for something related to estate.
I love it. Even invested in the phone number.
Yeah.
You are a testament. I love it. I got to tell you too, when Jenny and I came in there, man, you made it so easy. And that's, like you said before, lawyers, estate planning, whatever, it can be intimidating, or you can think it's intimidating, the perception of it, but it's not. You made it so easy. You just sat down and had a conversation and just talked and questions, and I made it so simple.
I'm glad to hear you say that. There's our process for all the attorneys. We follow the same based on your experience.
Yeah.
We have a process that really tries to reflect that. Education first. This is how this works, and you've got to call, just a conversation about your family, and a lot of that stuff that are concerns comes out pretty organically from that. And I think all 4 lawyers do a really good job with that.
People can say they care about their clients, but I'm here to say you, hands down, gave a different experience, better experience than I've ever had. Get in front of somebody.
Thank you, Brent. That's great. Yeah, I gotta talk to you more often.
It is. I mean, it's seamless. It's simple. It's easy. You just talk. You ask questions. You care. You can just tell, and that resonates with everybody down because of whether you want to say it or not, but because of what you have built, and that's pretty cool. So, yeah,
thank you.
Good for you, man. Yeah. If you like what you hear, I'll finish with this. We do have, you can sign up, DNA call, just to have a conversation, what have you. But I would encourage you, I got to say it again, 612-444-5555. I just love that. Stone Arch Law. Bill, you're phenomenal, man. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you for having me here. This was a pleasure. It's good to see you anyway, but it's great to be on the show.
Thanks for joining us on the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. We hope today's conversation inspired you to think differently about leadership, not just in your career, but in every part of your life. Remember, leadership starts with leading yourself first. It's about taking action, making bold decisions, and showing up with purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've heard today and put it into practice. Whether it's in your business, your community, your family, or your own personal growth, start leading without limits. You have the power to become the leader you're meant to be. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and leading with purpose.